Robert, just first of all, squad-wise, how different could the 17 look on Thursday?
Very, very different. As you can see, I'm like a Cheshire cat with a big smile on my face because probably the last however many weeks it's been, 9, 10, whatever weeks it's been, we've actually, the headaches hasn't been so much about who can I squeeze, who can we get in. I'm ringing people up asking if they can get off the building site and come in and pull a shirt on for us. It's more of a case of which players am I going to leave out this week, and unfortunately, which players are not going to come in. So we asked Golden. Unfortunately, he ran in training then and had a bit of a setback with his calf. So he pulled his calf. He thought he were going to be in contention. We're thinking about playing him, but obviously it's one game too far for him. Obviously, he's pulled that back this week. We've got Chris Hill, Leroy Cudjoe, Harry, Sam, Matty English, and Adam Milner.
Given there's the potential for a fair few players to play their final game for Huddersfield this week, is there any sentiment in your selection thoughts this week?
No, it's whichever players that I deem are going to win this game, and very fortunately for us, I've deemed that Hille, Seb, and Adam Milner are in that 17. So obviously, I want them to go. They've obviously had, not everyone's they're retiring or moving on. I think it's a little bit up in there for a lot of them at the moment regarding where they're going to be going. But we want to send them out on a really good note. They're really good members of the team. They're really good lads. I've got a good relationship with all of them. But first and foremost, they're good players. There's probably one player that we would like to have sent off on a bit of a high is Kevin Nguama. Unfortunately, he's got some sort of family issues that he's dealing with at the moment that have meant that he's not going to play his last game, which is very unfortunate for Kev. I think anybody within sport, within the game of rugby league, know what a lovely fella he is. Really religious, really family orientated, and he's just an all-round nice guy. So yeah, very unfortunate for him that he's not going to be able to play.
Seb and Kev, it was announced on Monday, wasn't it, that they were part of the departing players. We probably knew the other ones. With Seb and Kev, was there any effort made to keep them for next year? Was that ever a potential?
It wasn't for me. A lot, like I said before, a lot of the cap's been set in stone a little bit for me when I've come in. I said we were obviously a bit late to the party regarding recruitment and retention. I think Seb in the last few weeks has been playing great, but unfortunately, it's not as easy as just being able to keep whoever you want. It's a case of moving people on if you want to bring people in. So, yeah, unfortunately, with the sort of space we've got, it didn't work out that way. And I think Kev had already made the decision. The club had already made the decision beforehand.
How far down the line are you them with replacing those guys? How much work still needs to be done?
Yeah, it's very difficult though, when you I've said this numerous times, but Wigan and KR, whether you can talk, they're thinking and talking about 26 at the moment. I know they are. I know there are a fair few agents within the game. They're talking about 26 and making plans. So we are. Obviously, it's going to be. It's very difficult this time of year now because when a player agent, he told me he had 250 names in January, February. I think he's got 40 left. That either they've decided to stay where they're going or move to the places, or for whatever reason are not available anymore. So it does make it very hard. And I've said before that I don't want to bring the wrong people into the club. So although we do have quota spots remaining, whether we have cap space or not is another question. But you don't want to bring the wrong people into the environment. What we want to do is we don't want to rush into bringing somebody in, and then 6 months, 12 months down the line, thinking that we need to move them on again. So it's been smart with the money that we've got. It's been smart with the quota spots remaining and actually getting. And if we have to leave as gunpowder dry, we'll leave it dry. And inevitably, things change as well. Can change very quickly. In the NRL in particular, they have a top 30 squad. they have a lot of trial and train on where people train as a trial. I think Cogger did it at one point. You know what a great player he is, but I think he did it at Penrith and other places where they don't decide the top 30 till after sort of pre-season. So some players can become available very, very quickly.
So also on Monday at the awards do, Ken Davey stood up and announced that he was going to come back as chairman, didn't he? And also announced that he's going to build a new stadium. That's taken quite a few people by surprise. Did it take you by surprise, or were you in the know?
I'm a little bit in the know, a little bit. The chairman one took me by a little bit by surprise. I didn't know we were going to do that. The stadium one had been briefly mentioned. I'm obviously not too in depth as to know where, when. But no, that's been on the cards for a little while now. And look, I think we went to the Shea Stadium, in 2011 when I was still playing, and the atmosphere were electric. I think we were averaging about 7,000 at the time. Obviously playing really good rugby during my time, and the fans were great. And when we were in a bit of a smaller stadium, it felt like they were on top of it. It felt amazing, and I think we've known for quite a while. Look, our fans are really loyal. They're really loyal. They'll sing their hearts out and they'll be great. But unfortunately, when you're in a 25,000 seater stadium, they kind of get a little bit drowned out by the opposition or just the stadium size itself. So I think it'd be great for us to actually have a home that we can call our own in them surroundings. The chairman, I'm really, really, really chuffed that Ken's going to have more of a hands-on approach. By his own admissions, he's been a little bit not away from me. Obviously, he took over the Super League chairman, didn't he? So he's had a lot of things going on. He's a very, very busy man in his business and his personal life anyway. But for him to actually have a more hands-upon approach and somebody of his ilk, of his business sense and his business smarts, I think the more that he has, the more that he's hands-on with his club, I think the better we'll be. And not only just from a business point of view, but he's a really honest bloke. He's obviously incredibly smart, and he's very honourable. Really, he's honest as the day's long. So I just think when we can have his moral standing and him pushing as a driver us on to be better, I think the club will be better for it.
Leroy cleaned up at the awards. How long before he gets that picture in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, for me, he's already in there, isn't he? A lot of times when people in Hall of Fame, you generally, it takes you about 10, 15 years to look back on your career and then people really appreciate just what you do for the club and for the team. And I'm really chuffed that it's happening now with Leroy, that actually people are actually appreciating him while he's still playing, because a lot of times it is only when they leave that you think, wow, I didn't really appreciate what he was doing for the club. It isn't just what he does on the field. Let's be honest, he's reinvented himself. He's reinvented himself as a middle, and he's probably one of the best middles in the competition at the moment. He's one of the best 13s. But it's what he does off the field. It's his leadership within the group. He doesn't let his standards ever slip. He's still wanting to learn. I did a meeting today, and he's there with his notepad and pen. He's still taking notes at the age that he is, and he's been around that long. But then it's also what he does off the field. He knows every kid in Huddersfield. He'll know from under 12s to under 16s. He helped out Moll Green for however long. He helps out the scholarship. He helps out the academy. If somebody could ask me what I want a Giants player to look like, he would be the epitome of that. He would be the epitome. If I could just stand Leroy up and go, this is what we want both on and off the field. This is what we want a Giants player to look like. Please try and emulate him. It would be him.
A couple of final points. What do you want to get out of this last game against Cass, and where do you think the Tigers are?
I think we're both in the same position. We've both had great years. Been a lot of ups and downs. I want to finish on a high. I want to give the fans, in particular, something to sing about. I want the players to show pride and passion for the. It's first and foremost for the self. When you enter that field, it's always about your personal pride is at stake, your reputation's at stake. I've always said forever long that it's about doing your family proud. It's about doing your mum and dad and your brothers and sisters, whoever it is, your kids. And then it's always about the shirt you wear and the fans. So for me, I want the lads to put in a performance that the fans can actually come away from the game and think, you know what, they've run the blood to water there for the cause.
Just lastly for me, Rob, full time on Thursday. Obviously, the club's review into the season will start. Just briefly, where do you think it's gone wrong this year?
There's been lots of things that have gone on off the field that I think we can be better with, that I don't think's brought to a little bit of harmony to the group. I've tried to fix that and bring it together, and I think that's one thing we can be a lot better as actually being one club, being a team, making the players closer to the fans closer to the players, the sponsors closer to the players, just bringing the club together as one, which I think Ken Davies is going to have a big say in that, and that's already starting. And I think on the field, we need to address our injuries, because it's been very, very rare that we've put out our best 17 from game 1 to game 27, including the Challenge Cups. We have to dig down to a little bit of have some honest truths about what we need to change so we can get as best players on the field.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
And thanks for everything this year, mate. I know we're probably the last people you want to see at times. So thanks for all the stuff. It's been brilliant, pal.
No, I love seeing you, mate.
You flatter it. I'll pass you over.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, mate.
Yeah, just firstly on the stadium, I know you never use it as an excuse, but can it affect players when you come out and there's only a few thousand in a big stadium like that?
Oh, look, of course, I want to study this at university. I want to study at university, and what worked out is, because I've always wondered this, you know, my big thing is I coach under 13s at Siddle. I'm like, it's a piece of grass. I don't care whether it's away in Hull or we're playing at Siddle, it's a piece of grass and you should perform the same every time. But generally what you'll find is the home comfort, sleeping in your own bed, going through the same ritual. A lot of lads are very superstitious, so going through the same process, should we say, on game days settles everybody and keeps it, you know, the same's generally a good thing. But then not only that, what I looked at when it was the influence it has on the ref. And let's be honest, I used to go to bed when we played against Leeds, that South Stand at Leeds. My wife used to giggle because I used to be humming Marching On Together at one point when they were good. And sometimes you could feel when there were going to be a penalty against you. We'd be defending really well. We had a really good record against Leeds, to be fair, when I played for the Giants. But you could kind of feel when there were going to be a penalty blown against you, because you could just feel the crowd getting intense on the ref's back. And inevitably, after a while, you could sense it. I thought the next 1 or 2 sets is going to be a penalty. Inevitably, there were a penalty, because they're only human. So it'd be nice to have that. It'd be nice to have that where, you know, like I said before, we've got loads of fans that sing and chant and get behind us, and they're brilliant. But it'd be lovely if we could create a little bit more of an intimidating atmosphere, all in one section of the stadium, in a smaller setting. Yeah, I think it would be great.
Do you think the current stadium's a bit too cosy for visiting players?
Yeah, I had this before. Somebody once said to me, which ground did I like going to the most? And I really like going to Hull. And it might have been for that reason, really. We used to go to Hull and it was like just a lovely stadium, really liked it. Change rooms were lovely. You know, you look back, I know times have changed a little bit, but when we used to go to Knowsley Road, there were, I don't know if it were on purpose, but the floor used to be always wet, so you couldn't put your socks on straight away. The walls or the whole change room were painted pink because it was supposed to be a relaxing colour. And I had the same situation at Salford at the Willows. I knew we'd win half the games just because people didn't want to go there. I remember once, I think it might have been when Pat Richards first came on, a few different Aussies, and they were taking pictures of the actual changing rooms and the pitch, sort of mocking it really and sending it to other people saying they couldn't believe where they were. And as that happened, I thought, we're going to win today. And that day we won, because they'd come in and there'd be no pegs for the clothes, there'd be a tiny changing room, but it was great for us really, 'cause that's what a little bit of a siege mentality, and we used to win. So, look, the changing rooms, the pitch itself, the intimidation from the opposition, from the fans, can obviously make a difference. Now, when you go to the very top, that doesn't always decide whether you're going to win or lose the league. But them little fine margins can help you throughout the year.
You've obviously had some good times at your current ground as well, going back to the 2013 season. Around that time, would part of you miss the place?
Of course, look, I've had really good times. I spent the majority of my career at Huddersfield. I think really we've only potentially in my time when I was a player, I only had one bad year, and that was 2008 when I first came. I think we came 10th. After that, we were pretty much in the top four or challenging the top four nearly every year. I think we might come 5th, maybe even worse. We came 6th one year, and it felt like we'd had the worst season ever because we were pretty much up there challenging, every year. So I've got really good memories of that stadium, and like I say, it's not an excuse because we used to win pretty much nearly all his games there, especially like you say in 2013. So it's not an excuse, but I do think the football have pumped a lot of money into it over the last few years, and it's everything everywhere you go is blue and white. Everywhere you go is blue and white, and it's great that we've now got leather seats in the changing rooms and lovely ice baths, but it would be nice if it were ours.
Yeah, I think you've only won 3 league games there this season. Is that a major disappointment?
Massively, because your home form generally dictates where you end up. If you have a good home form and you have a good run at home, you're going to put yourself definitely in a position to actually challenge at least for the top 6. If you don't have good home form, you've got no chance. And if I'm honest, I don't think his home form was that good last year either. I don't think we had great home form last year. I think we've got one of the worst in the league this year. So yeah, it's definitely been an issue for us.